In today's video, we're going to be going over some of the best fragrances you can spend your money on here in 2026. Now, just to preface this, these are not all new fragrances. Actually, I don't think there are any new ones in here as of this year. There's not. Maybe some of these are a couple of years old, but others of these could go back several years as well. So it's not new release focused. It's just in general, based upon everything that's out there, these are some really good ones that are still worth paying for, purchasing in 2026. We've got a nice mixture here. We've got some for spring because we're heading that way, but we still have some that are good for kind of maybe fall, winter, and you know, summer, of course, as well. Just a nice little variety as always. Now, we're actually going to start off with Robert Graham Fortitude. Has tobacco, tonka bean, and patchouli. I absolutely love this stuff. And it's been out for years, but it's always been a little bit tricky. Sometimes it's in stock on discounters, other times it's sold out and you can't really get it anywhere. Other times you can get it at robertgraham.us or .com or whatever it is and buy it officially through them at retail price. But it's always been kind of a tricky one sometimes. And I believe that they went through a bottle change, and as per usual, the new bottle doesn't look as good in my opinion. Now, you can still get this old bottle on discounters. I'll have it linked down below. I personally prefer the look of this. I think the new ones look fine, but I like this better. I can't say whether or not they reformulated it either, but I'm just going off of what I've seen when doing my research online. This one popped back up along with Valor, which is a fantastic coffee scent. I really like that one as well. It's another great option. But this one here, beautiful, beautiful tobacco scent. And you know I love tobacco, but this is one that has some versatility to it. We have tons of tobacco scents out there in varying degrees of, wearability, I guess you could say. You know, on the extreme end of things, you have Red Tobacco by Mancera, which is a pretty specific scent that you can't wear all the time. At least I wouldn't. Some of you guys I'm sure do, but it's not one that I want to wear often unless the situation is right. Even something like Spice Bomb Extreme, you kind of have to be somewhat selective with that for fall and winter use. But this one here is going to be more of your versatile type of tobacco. You know, you get plenty of tonka with it, nice patchouli note, giving it this green woody smell as well. So versatility is kind of the name of the game with Robert Graham Fortitude, which is why I like it. It's a tobacco scent that I could wear in a wider variety of situations compared to some of my other favorite tobacco scents. I believe this one is right around $56, $58, and that is, it's a 100 ml bottle, I believe. Yep, 100 ml blended essence. So I think probably an eau de parfum, but I'm not 100% sure. They have a unique way of wording their concentration there, but we'll go with an EDP. Decent performance, not a beast mode scent. Wouldn't really expect it to be either. Robert Graham, they only have released 3 fragrances ever. This one, Valor and Courage. Courage is, I think, another one that's a little bit hard to find as well. And that's really it. I think they do clothing and stuff too, but they're not a well-established brand in terms of fragrances, but the ones that they have put out, got to give them 100% credit here. They are really, really good, and this is one of them. Definitely worth forking over the mid $50 for. It's a great scent. This next one is going to be nice and versatile because it's primarily a woody-based scent. It is Burberry Hero. This is the eau de parfum version. We've got cedar, incense, and benzoin. They have a parfum, and then they just released an elixir. So I have the parfum, I like it. I think the EDP and the parfum are significantly better than the eau de toilette, which I believe I gave away. I haven't bought the elixir version yet, but it is on my list. That one looks promising as well. But this one, a nice, strong, woody cedar wood, of course, but then at the same time, a little bit of a kind of a benzoin sweetness, so it kind of pushes it almost in the vanillic direction without going too far. It still maintains a woody balance here. It does have incense, as I listed off, so you do pick up on just a little bit of a smokiness, nothing crazy. It's not what I would consider to be like an incense-based scent. You know, it's not all smoke. There's balance here with the woods, with that benzoin kind of vanilla smell also. So that's why I kind of mentioned versatility when I first brought this one up, because looking at the note breakdown, you might assume that it's going to be, again, a little bit more of a specific type of scent that you could only wear in winter or just in fall. This is not one that I would stretch into the dog days of summer by any means. For most situations, a lot of us have something better to wear during that time period. But you could wear this one into spring, you know, cooler spring days, even maybe cooler summer days indoors. It just because of the balance, it does have more versatility, and you will see that when you actually smell it. Because again, looking at the note breakdown, you might assume otherwise. And I've got to give credit again here to Burberry. They're a big designer brand, and they've been doing fragrances for a very long time. However, you know, at least when it comes to pleasing the fragrance enthusiast, sometimes maybe they don't do such a good job. I think a lot of their scents maybe are not quite as up to snuff as far as what we're looking for. However, this Burberry Hero line, even though the name Hero might sound a little bit funny, they're really good scents. I really like these. Again, the EDT, kind of a pass, but the EDP, the Parfum, two really good ones, and I would imagine the Elixir is probably going to be on that same trajectory as well. So solid fragrance here with plenty of usability and really good performance. All right, now let's go for a Chanel. I think Chanel is one of the best designer fragrance brands out there. I do. And they are very much focused on quality over quantity, and I love that. You know, as much as we would like to see a new Chanel every year, that's just not how they do business, and that's fine. You know, we have plenty of other designer brands that do that, some even a couple times a year. However, I think that every guy, every collection should have a Chanel in it. Whether you go Bleu de Chanel, whether you go Allure and go in that line, or whatever the case may be. But if you want one that's just kind of something that'll do everything, I think this is probably going to be one of your best bets. It is a Bleu de Chanel, and it is the Eau de Parfum version. You guys know I love the Parfum. Talk about the Parfum all the time. Personally, I'm also a really big fan of the Exclusive, although not as versatile, right? A little bit more sweet. However, this EDP is the perfect balance because, well, it smells a lot like the Eau de Toilette. Still get that grapefruit kind of incense mixture with all of the woods, and of course, the signature ambergris, ambroxan, whatever you want to call it, blue fragrance smell that is in here. And so that's what makes this one what it is, because it has that blue fragrance smell, which Chanel kind of pioneered, at least as far as I'm aware, with the EDT. And to me, this one is a better purchase than the Eau de Toilette. I'm not saying that the EDT is completely obsolete. I just feel like if you're already going to spend the money on a Bleu de Chanel, you should at least go the EDP, right? Because between the EDT and EDP, the main difference is performance in favor of the Eau de Parfum. Now, when you're talking Parfum and the Exclusive, now we're getting into more of a scent difference there, and that's where you would want to make your selection more wisely, right? You want to look into that a little bit more. But for this one, it just makes sense to go to the EDP. I think it's an improvement over the original Eau de Toilette any day of the week. Smells amazing. I love this. I do wear it a lot along with the Parfum. I love me some Bleu de Chanel, and it's expensive. It's hard to get past that. You can't get it on discounters. It's nice to feel as though we're getting a good deal on something when we purchase it. That's the main kind of friction when it comes to buying these. But if you can get past that, man, Bleu de Chanel is going to be one that a lot of you guys will really love and be able to wear often, and most of you probably do anyway. All right, now let's go for something more affordable. The first or last couple here have been on the pricier end of things a little bit. We've got one for like $35 to $40, John Varvatos Artisan Pure. Now we've got petitgrain, clementine, orange, lemon, musk, thyme in here as well. So it's a very aromatic, neroli, petitgrain, green smelling scent with all that orange. Again, the clementine and just mandarin orange, I believe, is what they list off. Smells beautiful. Now you can't see this obviously, but the sun's out today. It's like 55 degrees outside and sunny, and man, that is like prime conditions, absolute perfect conditions for something like Artisan Pure. A little bit warmer as well. I would go up to maybe 65 and sunny with this one. You could go farther, but in terms of what this smells like to me, it's like a sunny spring day, right around in that temperature range. That is what this is to me in a nutshell. It really does smell like that. Everything coming back to life, greening up, and just nice, you know, it's crisp outside. It's not hot and humid where when you take a breath, it's like disgusting. It's like just a little bit cool in the air. Just you step outside in that sun and it feels good. That is what Artisan Pure is, at least for me. And so you get that orange, you get that kind of leafy, petitgrain, neroli texture, which is very unique. It gives it this white floral, and it makes sense when you look at the bottle, just this pure white bottle here with that, I don't know, wicker or whatever you want to call it around there. Beautiful scent, truly, absolutely beautiful. For the money, this is a no-brainer to me. Had this one for a long time, very popular in the community, probably not so much outside of the community, which is kind of a good thing because you could wear this one out and about in public, and probably nobody else is going to be wearing this, and likely a lot of other people haven't smelled it before either. so you'll be able to stand out in that regard. If you want something for spring, something that's unique, that stands out, this is it right here. Truly, truly great stuff. Great quality as well for the money. The only downside you're going to come across is performance, especially by today's standards when we're used to and expecting everything to last for 12 hours. Just don't get your hopes up. This is not that. It's probably half that, if you're lucky, right? It's not a very strong scent in terms of performance and projection. However, the scent, the quality, everything about this one more than makes up for that, in my opinion. And if you plan around your day accordingly, I mean, there's no reason why you can't make this one work. I like it for days where I'm just kind of not really going out for long periods of time. If you got some quick errands to run or you're just doing some stuff around the house, just overspray this one on and it's perfect. It works really good. Just amazing. All right, now this next one is Azzaro Forever Wanted. This is the Elixir version. Now we've got raspberry leather. That's what it's all about. There's other notes in here as well. You're getting the tonka bean and stuff like that, but it's the raspberry leather combination, which is what makes this one what it is, and it smells great. We've seen that used before in some other very popular scents. This one is more sweet compared to, like, for example, I don't know, Tom Ford Tuscan leather or Toomey 19 Degree. Both of those scents are using that combination. This is still completely different in its own world on the much sweeter end of things. It still has that young, kind of playful Azzaro Wanted smell. However, it doesn't smell like the original Wanted or Wanted by Night. It doesn't even smell a lot like Most Wanted Parfum. It kind of distances itself from the pre-existing lineup, which is good because you're not getting any redundancy here. It still has the same type of theme, you know, that sweet kind of young playful theme. And that's kind of what this one is, just kind of going in a different direction with a twist. And I like that, you know, because if it smelled a lot like any of those other ones, at what point does it become too repetitive? You know, I think these designer brands obviously want us to keep repurchasing these, even if we have all of them already. I mean, I can raise my hand to that, and along with every other designer fragrance line anyway. And so making them different enough to where they aren't redundant is important, and they did that here with this one. So you don't have to worry about that at all. It's one of my favorites. You know, I still like Wanted by Night and the Most Wanted Parfum, but this one here is right up there. So that's my top three. This, Wanted by Night, and Most Wanted Parfum. And actually, the new one is really good as well, but it's still too new for me to make a full judgment on that in terms of where it ranks, but they're putting out some great scents in this as well. Obviously, this is more fall and winter leaning. This is probably one that's going to be getting put on the shelf for now, starting now, because it is kind of warming up a bit, but thought I'd throw it in here anyway. This next one is interesting because it's the name doesn't make sense, and it kind of is a little bit confusing to place in terms of, like, what is this for? Is it for spring, fall, winter? What is it, you know? And to me, it can kind of go in a few different directions. It is Prada Luna Rossa Ocean. This is the Le Parfum. This one has, I believe, only 3 notes, oak, saffron, and amber extreme. There actually might have been a couple more, but those are the ones that I pick up on the most out of what they list off. So let's just kind of go through it here. The oak gives it this nice woodiness. Now, I love oak. I love cedar wood as well. I love sandalwood. I like woody fragrances, right? But oak is a different one. It's not used nearly as much, but when it is kind of a distinct note. And oftentimes, it can give the impression sometimes of a little bit of like a boozy accord. And it depends on how it's used. You get just maybe a little bit of that in here. Now, I'm not calling this a boozy scent. It is not. But when you take a look at fragrances that are using a rum or a whiskey or something, think a Killian, Straight to Heaven, think of probably a couple other Killians as well. Maybe an apple brandy uses oak. Even something like, for example, L'Homme Eau de Parfum. That one uses, what is it, cognac, bitter orange, and oak. Oftentimes when you see some sort of rum, whiskey, oak is often nearby, right? It's kind of like tonka bean and vanilla, all right? If you see tonka bean used, vanilla is usually nearby, and oftentimes vice versa as well. They just work. That's kind of what oak is like for me. And so that's used in here, and I really like that. The saffron is a warm spice, and you get that off the opening as well. The amber extreme is kind of like an ambery ambroxan. It's not like Sauvage ambroxan where it's bright and like fuzzy. It's more of a sweeter type of amber here. And so that's where this one lands. And again, you're noticing it's called Ocean. We've been through this before. No aquatic notes or marine notes. It is not oceanic at all. And none of the other Luna Rossa Oceans are either. That being said, there is a bit of a freshness to this one. Might not expect it given the note breakdown, but there is. I would consider this kind of, you know, mid-range weather. So we're basically looking at spring and fall. That's when I would wear this one the most. And so coming up here in spring would be a good time to be wearing this one. And you wouldn't think so. I mean, the bottle, that deep red, the note breakdown, everything about it looks like fall and winter. But I don't really like it in winter as much. I like it when the weather is somewhere in the middle, have a little bit of a warmth in the air, but not too much. That's when I like this. And so honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I'm looking forward to wearing this one in spring. It's not a green scent at all, but it does work well. And last up for this video, we have YSL L'Homme. This is Le Parfum. So just to make it real quick and simple, it's YSL EDP, that amberwood aromatic DNA mixed with OG YSL L'Homme. That's what it is. You get that gentleman smell of L'Homme with that amberwood kind of sweet, appley, ozonic Eau de Parfum freshness, right? That's what this one is in a nutshell. So it just has ultimate versatility because it doesn't go too playful and sweet, but it also doesn't go too mature and potentially old school either. Although I wouldn't say that L'Homme is old school. Some people, younger guys, might see that as something that smells older because they're used to smelling L'Homme, because they're used to smelling YEDP and all these other newer scents. I love this one. Love everything about L'Homme Le Parfum. Great price on this one as well. Usually, comparatively speaking to YEDP, just an amazing scent all the way through. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some fragrances that I still think are 100% worth paying for in 2026. Links will be down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.